Welcome to the Fret Prince Podcast, improvisation topics for guitarists.
Hello, and welcome to this episode. Today, we're going to begin talking about playing chord changes and some approaches you might use in ensemble playing. So, we'll use a commonly played progression, rhythm changes, to demonstrate some concepts. Now, there are a lot of variations to this progression, so just keep in mind that some of these chords can be different. Now, one thing that you might do when you're playing is to play a chord like this, which is B flat 6, and maybe play this G minor 7, and then like these kinds of chords. Okay, so in this today we'll talk about maybe 4 or 8 measures. So these kinds of chords, which include the 5th and the 6th string. So what I want to talk about today is taking the chord and kind of focusing more on the first 4 strings, and that way we're not stepping on a bass player's toes, and we're not, if we have other harmonic instruments, it's not getting too, things are not getting too filled up in the lower register. So to start out with, let's just take this B flat 6. And if you take this note that's on the 6th string, let me just go over the fingering I'm using. So first finger's on the 4th string, 5th fret, second finger on the 6th string, 6th fret, third finger on the 2nd string, 6th fret, and 4th finger on the 3rd string, 7th fret. Okay, so we have root, 6, 3, and 5. So if we take this note on the 6th string and just move it up an octave to the 1st string, then we get the G6, and we're going to kind of let the bass player handle that note down there. So we're playing this. So what happens to our chord voicing here is that on the middle 2 strings, we're going to focus a lot on the kind of core quality of the chord. So the 3rd and the 7, and in this case, the 3rd and the 6. Okay, so I have the 6 on the 4th string, and I have the 3rd on the 3rd string. And then we'll think about the first 2 strings as sort of options to play, maybe a 5th or a root, or maybe some other things as well. So for right now, why don't we focus on these middle 2 strings, and we'll move to our next chord. So we have the G minor. So why don't we move up to the 8th position here. So I have first finger on the 4th string, 8th fret, and third finger on the 3rd string, 10th fret. Okay, and then if you want to think about your root note, that's on the 5th string, 10th fret. But we're going to try to make these fairly rootless chords. And so we have these 2 strings here, the 4th and the 3rd. So now when we move to the C minor, we're going to play these 2 notes on the middle 2 strings. So we have 8th fret for both. Okay. Okay, so this is kind of the chord that we might typically use. That's the 2nd finger on the 6th string there, 8th fret. And so we're going to try to focus on these 2 notes. And then we take the F7, so we let the 4th string descend by half step to the 7th fret. And so we have first finger on the 7th fret, 4th string, and another finger, I'm using the 3rd, on the 3rd string of the 8th fret. Okay, so let's go over what we have there just with those 2 strings. We have like I said, there are other variations to this, like the G. Maybe you play the G7 as a dominant chord. Okay, so let's go now to the next few chords. So we have D minor. So we'll play 10th fret on the middle two strings. Okay, and then for the G minor, we'll play the 8th fret and the 10th fret, string 4 and 3. And this is similar to what we did before. So we have the C minor here, the 8th fret on the middle two strings, and then the 7th and the 8th. So what we have here, the D minor, G minor, C minor, and F7. So then we have these two notes that are very important to the chord and give us the chord quality. And so what we can do from there is add, possibly another string or two strings. So let's add one string. Why don't we here? So we'll add to the G or the B flat 6. We'll put the 5th on here, the 2nd string, 6th fret, and then the G minor. We'll put the 10th fret on the 2nd string. C minor, we'll add the 5th, the 2nd string, 8th fret, and then we'll keep that 2nd string and let the F7 or F9 in this case happen with the 1st finger on the 7th fret. And then we'll go to the D minor. So we'll have that 5th on the 2nd string. And then the G, put that 9 on there, same note again on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. And then we have the C minor. We have the 5th on top here. And then we'll keep that same note, that G, on the top for the F7. So let's review what we have there. So okay, so keep in mind, oftentimes that G is going to be dominant, so you can play around with that a little bit. So now we could add even another 3-note chords are really great, but we could also add another note here. So why don't we add that root to the B flat here on top? And there's also a possibility, maybe a 9 instead of the root. Okay, so a lot of options. So you start with your core part of the chord quality on the middle two strings, and then you can play around with the other things above it. So let's go to the G minor. So we can put the 5th on the 1st string. So we're just kind of adding to everything that we did just before. Okay, and then the C minor, we put the root on top, and then notice we have the option for a 9 here. And then the F7, put the 5th on top. Maybe we have an option to play 13 would be good. And then we're going to the D minor. So putting the root on top here, but maybe replace that with a 9 on the 12th fret here, 1st string. And then G minor, put the 5th on top. 11s are really nice on minor chords. So you might try that 9 with the 11 on the 8th fret. And also keep in mind that sometimes this chord is dominant. Okay, and then we have C minor. And we could put a 9 on that. So I'm putting the root on it right now. So we're just barring 8th fret. And then put the 9 on top. So the F7, we can put the 5th on top, and then maybe put the 13 on there instead. So let's look at our possibility here. So something like, something like that. And you may notice that sometimes I'm just playing around with what's on top. So so you can always kind of change that. So since a lot of times if we have the 3 and the 7 or other things on the middle 2 strings, then we're looking at fifths and roots, and we can take the roots up a step or a half step in some cases, and minor thirds and others. And then the fifth, we can bring that up or bring it down. So a lot of options there for playing. So we'll stick with these first 8 bars, and then we'll try moving on from there. But this episode, the basic takeaway is we have taking typical chords that we might use, the root notes here, and we're kind of almost just avoiding the 5th and 6th string, and we're keeping in mind where those notes are, but we're not actually playing them. And then we're taking our focus to the middle 2 strings to get the chord quality. So the bass is covering the root, we're playing the chord quality, which major, minor, dominant, diminished, that kind of thing. And then whatever else we can do with it, we can add other notes and, like I said, replace the root with a 9 or something like that. Okay, and then just kind of play around with it and have fun with it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a message or a comment, question if you have one. And remember to follow on Facebook and Twitter, and you can always reach me at fretprints.com. If you are listening to an audio-only version of this, you can likely find the video on my website, or sometimes on the YouTube channel as well. Well, thanks again. I hope you have a great week of practice.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fret Prints podcast. Be sure to rate and subscribe. You can also follow on Twitter and Facebook. Visit fretprints.com for articles,